Hey guys, welcome back for another CSVA roundtable, tips, tricks, life advice. Um, Pretty excited here today. I'm obviously hosting, so you guys are kind of stuck with me for a long time until somebody steps up and wants to do one of these things. But I got some great guests today. I got Craig from Florida State and Neil from Central Arkansas, and guys, they're really one thing that's unique about these two is that they don't cover just one sport. They don't cover just football or cover just basketball. These guys are covering a multitude of sports. They're in charge of their entire department. So with that being said, Craig, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about you and your department?
All right, well, we're here at Florida State. My name's Craig Campanozzi. Most people know me as Campo. I got saddled with that about age 10, and I've stuck with it because it's a lot easier to spell than Campanozzi. Got my start in athletics as an equipment guy, student equipment guy. Moved on to the NFL. Worked some in video for draft scouting. Back then it was all linear. From there, became a head equipment guy, and from there, promptly got fired. So I was looking for a job and was able to get back with Florida State and start out in the video area under Billy Vizzini. Almost 20 years later, here I am. So I got a chance to learn from the best, and now we're here just as you mentioned, we cover all the sports. We have some sports that really our support lends itself to, here's your camera setup and bring us your video and we'll edit it, or we handle your exchange or something like that. Other sports are more hands-on, and in particular our soccer program, for example, we have 3 people at every game. Up until this year we had 4. We shot 3 cameras. Our volleyball program, we have a setup where there's cameras on either end. We bought them an HD camera, and really, other than scouting video, we don't do a lot with them. And that we set everything up, and then they let us know if they need something. So there's the spectrum of kind of what we do.
Gotcha. All right, Neil, why don't you go and tell us a little bit about you and your setup?
Well, my name is Niel Swanson. I've been here since 2000. I started as a student filmer at Liberty in 1993, and thought, hey, I get paid to watch sports for a living. It's not so bad. I graduated from Liberty, did a video internship with the Carolina Panthers in '98, and I started here actually as a work study student, trying to get my second degree, and that, football hours and school didn't really mix all that well, and the coach didn't want me to leave, so they made me full-time in '04, and they added men's and women's basketball, and then in '06 when we went to Division I, they added everything else, and I was like, okay, can I get some help? So it's basically me and 8 student workers. There's no GAs, there's no scholarship. Everybody's federal work study, and we cover obviously everything for football. We do everything. Well, we do all the home games for everybody else. If somebody goes somewhere where they don't trust the other video setup, I'll send a filmer on the road with them. And we also do the live stream for all the home events.
You really kind of cover a multitude of things there, because you guys got the streaming there too, then, huh?
Yeah. We hook it up to our coach's camera for the streaming. It's not like a television broadcast, and then for football, we just hook it up to the scoreboard feed. But I'm in charge of all that, so.
Gotcha. All right.
One quick funny story is actually our first home game. The middle of the first quarter, some guy comes up, hey, the live stream's not working, can you come down? And I'm filming the wide angle. I'm like, really?
All right, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna kind of get started, and we've kind of got 3 topics here that we're gonna get going with, and the first one is in relation to students and kind of how you get your students and how you how you keep your students, and you know, I'll start here as I'm tweeting out, letting everybody know that the roundtable is going on, and I'm posting a link here to the Twitter sphere. Is we I actually when I got hired here, I didn't know what kind of core group of students I had and what kind of experience they had, and so I kind of walked into a kind of a weird deal about about almost 4 years ago, and so I wasn't quite sure, and you know, it took a year to figure out, and we really over the past year and a half I won't lie, we kind of struggled with some of our students, and you know, figuring out a solid base of what we had for students, and at the end of probably at the end of last season, you know, we realized that we had to cut bait on some people. We offered to let some people move in different directions. They were interested in different portions of athletics, which I thought was fine. And I kind of just said, okay, guys, we're going to be you know, I said to the folks that stayed, we're going to be hiring some people. Who do you know that's interested? You guys know the hours. You guys know the job. And now I've got a decent core. I've got 5 sophomores on my staff right now of eight students. And what's going to happen in 3 years, I don't know. I know it's going to be a massive turnover, but you know, one thing that we do here, and I think we do a fairly good job of, is we'll try to buy them a meal every once in a while, pizza or whatever, just to make sure that they understand that they're appreciated. You know, that pizza before they head to a 6 o'clock class or before they leave here, I think is kind of an important deal for them at times. They get paid hourly. Their base rate is $8 an hour, so no scholarship or anything, but they do earn the hours, so that's a good deal. And you know, I've had one student come in and did an independent study class with it, so that's kind of the route we've gone down here. Campo, what do you guys do?
Well, we pay hourly. We start them at around $9 an hour. This year we've started that. It went up. We give them raises as they stay and as they improve their performance. Again, if they work 40 hours, they get paid 40 hours. We don't work. Most of our students average about 14 hours a week. They work a couple practices and an event, a couple football practices and an event usually. We have some students that can only work during this semester because of classes, you know, one day or 2 times a week. Maybe they only get 6 hours. As far as how we find them, we've tried just about everything. But at the end of the day, whether we find them through going to a athletics major and saying, hey, is anyone interested in this? Or going to our coaches clinic at high school coaches clinic and saying, hey, we have positions. Do you have any students available? Or just, you know, hey, current students, do you guys know anyone? There's almost an equal success failure rate. I mean, some of them are going to get it, and some of them can't. One of the things that we try and do is, I used to be a guy that said everybody who comes in here is going to be a practice shooter. They're going to be they're going to be able to edit. They're going to do this. Everybody has to be able to do everything. And I've learned that sometimes you get a kid who is good at running cards and capturing, and that's all they can do. Or sometimes you get a kid that can help cut TV games or cut recruiting or just edit, and there's value in that. So we have currently 14 students, 3 of which work 1 to 2 days a week. Another 3 of which might work 2 days a week, and the rest, like I say, work about 14 hours a week. In addition to that, we have internships. We have 2 internships, one of which currently is filled, which are really full-time people who are trying to get a foothold in the business, given an opportunity to be above a student. And we've had great success. We've brought in some fantastic people from Liberty, actually, from Clemson, from Oregon State, from Central Florida, Marshall. I've gone to that well many times.
Hey, Campo.
Yes.
On the level of the internships, are those guys? are they more of, are they trying to be video coordinators? Are they more trying to be along the level of production people, or what do you find?
Well, if people want to work in our production wing, I try and steer them in that direction. But what I found is a lot of people who do want to work in production get much more experience with the camera in their hands working for us. The way I always tell them is, look, you go down and work production, you're trying to paint a Picasso. Great, that's awesome. Art is wonderful. But over here, we're trying to paint the house. We got to cover everything. Okay, so you can miss 5 baskets in a basketball game if you're shooting production, if you get 5 great shots of other baskets. But we got to get every basket. We got to get every play. We can't miss anything. So they learn a lot about personal responsibility, about how to pack their stuff, and you know, you tell them, check your camera, check your filter, focus, iris, white balance. Then I see these other students that where we cross over, for example, like softball or baseball, they may take our feed for the production or for the streaming, and those kids don't know how to operate a tripod, or they don't know where the filter wheel is. So there is a lot of crossover, but we're fortunate in that we don't have to worry about production. We don't make the highlight tape. Neither do our production people. They actually outsource that. For football, we don't do streaming other than providing a camera and shooter for our people. But there is a lot of crossover between us and Mark Roden's outfit and Seminole Productions.
Gotcha. Well, Neil just dropped out here for a second. So,
well, we have.
Wait. Go ahead, Campo.
Under keeping students, one of the things that we try and do is we've been fighting to get some gear, and we have a great relationship with our equipment people. By and large, what we've done is we'll send students on the road, say with the soccer team or whatever, and have the soccer team, you know, we'll tell them, you're responsible for getting them a shirt, you're responsible for getting them some gear. We made sure that there's TVs with DirecTV in every equipment room that we hang and pay for. So we generally get a lot of cooperation from those people, and starting next year we'll actually have a little bit of Nike money to spend to get actual athletics video shirts that we can put on the kids. Gear goes a long way. You know, as you said, they want to feel a part of something, but they want to be able to show people that they're a part of something when they go to class or when they go on out on the town to have a couple of Kool-Aids. So,
Sure.
you know, that's something we try and reward the people, and we say it doesn't matter whether you're a senior or freshman. It matters how much you work, depends how much you're going to be able to travel, how much you're going to get rewarded. We have given bonuses in the past. If we have especially something that comes up last minute, we need someone to come in, we'll give them double time. We will give them, if they come for bowl or camp practice, pre-season camp, then they'll get all their meals paid for, in addition to hourly pay. So there are things we try and do. We don't do so much pizza in the office as much as we make sure that there's drinks. We make sure that we have plenty of water on hand. In fact, I bought one of those 5-gallon water dispensers, and we bring bottled water in, some sodas. Try and push them toward the water, especially in the heat, but sodas as well. We have things like sunscreen, where pretty much every day they need to put it on, and it's actually on our checklist before you go to practice.
You're in one of those warm weather climates where you got to worry about things like that, man. It was 50 degrees here this weekend, and we called it beautiful.
Yeah, it's going to be in the 80s all week this week. So, yeah, we've got to worry about the heat. And the one thing, too, when we talk to our students is we make sure, like if you're going up in a lift, there's a lift safety checklist on that lift. We go over it with all our students when they get here. And we keep telling them, look, if you get run into, I can buy another camera, but I'm not going to call your mom and say, boy, he was shooting great right up to the time they killed him. Right up to the time he got in the way and they ran him over, or she fell out of the lift. Safety is the most important thing, and we stand by it. We have weather, I'm sure you guys have too, weather anemometers, and we have weather checks. lighting within 15 miles. I mean, we don't hesitate. We'll bring our kids down, and I think that the kids understand and respect that there's a high level of demand, but there's also a high level of value to them, and we let them know it.
Sure. Neil, what do you guys do at a small school there? I know it's a little bit different and probably a little bit more difficult too, huh?
Yeah, it's what we have is my first couple of years of when we went to Division One, I actually got extra help. For the first 8 years, it was me and one guy. So I was like, well, as long as I can find one decent person, I'm all right. So what we did is we went to the university's human resources department, and they publish campus jobs in a little booklet. And so I wrote up a very descriptive job description. Hey, I said basically you get to film sports, but it's not TV production. It's not, your film is not on ESPN. And I had over 20 applicants for 5 positions. I was like, whoa, okay, this is cool. So I had to interview them all, weed them out, and the thing about our job is they either get it or they don't. They either, oh yeah, end zone shot, I know this, no problem, or they're like, wait, what am I doing? And then you missed 8 plays in a practice, and coaches come talk to you. They don't talk to the students. So I was very fortunate to find I got a couple of good ones, and like Campo does, I basically say, hey, do you have any friends who need a job? Explain the hours, explain the job to them, tell them what it is, and then I've noticed when you do the friend program, so to speak, they're more likely to cover for one of their buddies than just somebody they met a couple weeks ago. And so, I had a guy in '08. He had 2 friends. They had guys. I've had a full chain for the last 6 or 7 years of people who know people, and that's worked out really well for us. And what I do for our students is when the new guy comes in, he shadows his buddy. So they're talking, they're in practice. He's more comfortable with somebody he knows instead of, and then we make a cut up before every year. This is what practice is supposed to look like. Here's inside run. Here's Pascal wide. Here's blitz wide. And then a couple of clips. This is what it's not supposed to look like. Because when they get up there, they're up 50 feet in the air. There's cars driving by, people playing music. There's a lot of distractions, and I say just make sure what you see in the camera looks like this when I show them the video, the cut-ups. And that's worked out pretty well for us. And as far as in preseason, I make sure they've got drinks, snacks. I'll bring in everything because they're all Federal Work Study students. So they start in August, but their first check is 2 weeks after school starts, which is, so they don't get paid till September 16th. So I'll bring in the Gatorade, water. I just tell them it's a community fridge. Just don't take the last one. and we've, like Campo's done, we've done the T-shirt that we did the video T-shirt this year, and they were like, oh, when are the shirts getting in? Because they appreciate even small things because they understand that we don't have a huge budget, and they'll take whatever they can get. And going on football road trips is I always have to take somebody who's filmed the game before, but we take an editor too, so he can edit. We'll drop the cards down to him, and it's usually one of the freshmen, so he kind of gets a feel for the team experience and to be involved with the program.
That's all good stuff. Did anybody else have any? Craig, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Well, I do think that, again, as different students, some of them want to just have the job. And so we found that it took me a while to figure this out. Some students don't want to travel, and that blew my mind. It's like, how could you not want to travel? I mean, but because we're not able to be like equipment guys or trainers where they're there every day, that some of them it is literally they come in and they just want to do what they need to do that day. Again, there's a place for that. I don't think you can have all your kids like that. But I've had a lot of really good workers come in, do their stuff. They just wanted to pay their, do their time and get their money, and that was that. But really, we've found that a lot of kids that come in that way and think they're going to be that way, they end up vested. They get into it, and they'll want to travel with that softball team because they've been with those kids, and they've gone out and shot practices, and they start to care, and that's when they get vested, and that's when they really want to do a great job.
Yeah, and
cling to like grim death.
And another thing with a lot of our kids, once they've shot a few practices, they'll have classes with those players, and then they'll connect to the programs that way.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, one thing I know we do is we've got like a 13-page, I don't know if you want to call it rule book, guidelines, and it basically it's an outline of do's and don'ts, and we try to loosely go over it. We end up spending, it's ridiculous that we spend 45 minutes on it, but we end up spending 45 minutes on it. But it's things like tickets for games. You guys get tickets, but make sure they're going to Minnesota fans. Campo, if it's you, it's make sure it's going Florida State fans. The University of Wisconsin's 4 hours away, and the University of Iowa is 4 hours away. You wouldn't believe our first year how many issues we had with that here. When we're trying to turn around the program, it was remarkable how much you actually do have to address something like that. And just talking about just the general things. So just want to kind of shift focus here and kind of talk about family and friends and Campo. You and I were talking a little bit off air, and Neil, I believe you've got a family, and I've got a family, and I actually we started right at 10:15 because I got a sandwich in between a couple of things, but I come in a little bit late on Mondays. I'll tell you what, a couple things I do, and just trying to sneak away some different stuff. So I bring my kids to preschool on Mondays. I have my son's going to be 5 in a week. He's my oldest, and then my youngest is 1, but I've got 2 that go to preschool, and I take them to preschool on Mondays. My one day where I'm able to do it, I'm in front of the teachers, and bring the kids to school, and they appreciate it, and I'm home for part of the morning. Sundays, though, is kind of my, is time that I really kind of find special, is that I bring them in the office. I wake them up in the morning. My wife's a stay-at-home mom. We're fortunate enough in that regard, but she stays at home. But I wake them up on Sunday mornings. They never wake up otherwise, but they wake them up on Sunday morning, get them dressed. We're out the door by 7 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Get to the office, get some stuff turned on, make a couple pots of coffee for coaches that might start trickling in, and then we go to church. Church is about 4 blocks away. 1 hour, we're Catholic, 1 hour Catholic service. They serve donuts afterward, so we get donuts at the church, and we come back here and they're able to watch cartoons in Dad's office. They stay till 10:30 or 11 whenever Mom comes and picks them up, and then and then I work until 6:30. So it's a small in a way that I'm able to sneak away a little extra time with my kids, and everybody knows we work so many hours, so I think it's it's the ability to sneak the time in that really is important, even if you're at work. I think having them at work, that's memories for the kids. So, Campo, I know that you're single, and what do you do? I know Billy used to, and I've heard stories from Helton, and I've heard stories from Clemson and all over about how Billy had his own life of when he would call people on his way home, and that was his life. He would call people. You knew what he was doing, but that's how he got a hold of you. I don't know what you do as far as kind of keeping your keeping your social life social.
Well, I have friends that live about 8 miles away that I haven't seen in a couple weeks right now because it's that particular time of the fall. and I just think that that happens. Our strategy with everything is there are right now there are 4 guys, including me, in this office that are the main guys, and I want to make sure that if they come in early, then if they come in early, they're leaving at 6. That one person isn't at every staff meeting, so you don't have to get up at 6:30 every day. You get a couple days where you can sleep in till 9. Usually, like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday nights, the coaches are here late. I'm here till 11 o'clock on those nights, but I don't come in till 11 o'clock that morning. So, for example, yesterday I came in, shot soccer, came back, worked in the office, ended up cutting our TV game, doing some things, cutting some recruiting, and went up in the staff room and with the coaches and put the computer on travel mode and did some editing. And when I got done, when the coaches got done, I came in, synced the computer, finished up my stuff in the office, and went home. And I didn't come in today till 10:30 or 10:45. So I'm very blessed that I have guys that buy into that and are everything we do is accomplished as a group. It's not what Campo does. It's not what Kevin does or Matt does or Cody does. It's what we can accomplish together. And I know it sounds rah-rah and all that, but I really believe in that because there's no way at 50 that I can come in every morning at 6 a.m. and work till 11 o'clock at night and do a good job. I mean, you can do that, but you're not going to do a good job because you're going to be just a frazzled piece of yourself.
Hey Neil, I muted you. If you want to unmute yourself, just because you've been coughing there, I apologize for that. If you want to jump in there, I just want to.
Oh no, yeah, my situation's a little different. I have a 21-year-old stepson who actually goes to school here, and a 1-year-old. I don't know if you can see him right here on the phone. There he is. A 1-year-old at home. And my wife is a teacher, so it took a couple weeks to get our schedules down. We're up at 5:30. She's off to work by 6:30. I get him ready, take him to. We're very blessed. Her parents live in town, so free babysitting until he starts running around in circles. And so he's at his grandma's by 7:30 or 8, and I come into the office, grab some coffee, and I'm in the office. Sundays is kind of my getaway day too. I get all our editing stuff done after the game on Saturday. I come in about noon on Sunday, get soccer, volleyball, whoever else has DVD requests for opponents' film, get all that done. Go home between 4 and 6, come back for meetings and practice, and then during the week it's just kind of I'll get in usually about 8, 9, somewhere in there, and then if I need a break or I just my students will have since they're on work study hours, if they have a class at 9 and another one at 12, they'll come in for an hour just to get so they can get office hours, and then so I go run around, go buy baby diapers or go get my off-campus work done. If I need to go run errands or make a doctor's appointment or something, they'll come in and cover the office. Well, even an hour or two a day makes a big difference. And my wife always asks me, "All right, when are you home this week?" Because it's always different with the different sports, being at home, being away. And I tell her, then I have to remind her on Wednesday, and then remind her again on Thursday. Our last road game, I told her Thursday night, "Okay, our bus leaves tomorrow at 9. She goes, "What, you're going out of town?" so I think I need to put a little app on her phone of what our schedule is. But yeah, I mean, whatever hours you can get, take them, because especially during 2-a-days that you're up here 18 hours a day and you go home and everybody's already asleep and you're like, oh, okay. And then that's another thing is, I'm usually home about 6:30. because the coaches will watch film, and if something catches on fire, they'll call me. But usually they'll watch film and go home. So I'm done cutting practice at 6:30, and when I get home, it's our family time till everybody else goes to sleep. I don't take any work home. If I'm cutting a highlight tape or motivational video, I'll start working on that after everybody else goes to sleep. So that 6:30 to 8:30 or 6:30 to 9 block is our family time, and I don't even mention work when I'm at home. Mainly because my wife doesn't know what seasons are going on, but I mean that's our family time. I'll take care of work after everyone else goes to sleep.
A suggestion I have is Google Calendars, and then sharing your Google Calendar out with anybody that you think if you think's necessary, whether it's folks in town or your wife. I know that my wife and I do that. We have a shared Google Calendar. That way I can tell what they're doing, what they might be doing or might have planned. And I try, if I have meetings like that aren't outside of the normal football meeting time, I try to put that on the calendar. If somebody scheduled it with me, she can see it right away. That way, easily viewable, if that makes some sense.
One thing I want to go back to a little bit on our students, as you mentioned the calendar, we do a semester event schedule, and we'll put every single event probably in the second week of the semester when everyone's classes are finalized, there's no more drop add. And they know what they're doing the entire semester. Even if they're not scheduled, if they're going out of town or if they have an exam or whatever, we put that in there. So if we need someone, we know, don't even call John. He's going out of town for his grandmother's birthday. He's not available, or whoever. So,
hey, Campo, is that just is that a paper schedule, or is that similar to Google Calendar?
It's on an Excel spreadsheet, and we share that every couple weeks out to them via email.
Okay.
They check it obviously in the office, or we'll print it for them. The issue we've had putting something out, we've had people try and make changes outside of the office, and we'll be like, no, we have the original, So what we've done is share it that way, and every couple weeks they get a new one. It just has their initials by that day of practice or whatever. If a new event comes up, we will let them know, and we'll highlight it and say, hey, we've now added softball season scrimmages. Make sure if you're on it, these are the people that need to, pay special attention, and that works really well with the students. That is something that they really, really like, because that way they know the entire semester what they're expected to do. And we always tell them, if you're not scheduled, you can still come in. This is the absolute minimum. And that gives the people who really want to work and who are going to be vested an opportunity to do more and move up the chain.
And something similar, we're kind of on a week-to-week basis here. Is every Sunday night, I'll text the guys, okay, here's what's going on this week. Football, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Volleyball, Saturday, whatever. And what can you film? Because half my guys this is their second job. And I found that, you can ask, okay, hey, can you film this in 2 weeks? They're like, I'll let you know next week, because they don't know. Another thing is, like Campo said, getting the guys who are invested in the job. Basically, if they say, yeah, I can make it, well, I can work any day that week. I schedule them for every day that week, because I want to make sure I've got extra people, because 30 minutes before practice starts, I've had people call in, hey, my car's broken down, hey, I'm sick, and then I'm scrambling to find somebody, or I'm shooting 2 wide angles at the same time. But so I try to get everybody scheduled on Sunday every week, and then we just go from there and change it if we have to.
Gotcha.
I think that makes a lot of sense. We tried doing it week to week, and this particular group of students, it tends to change with the groups of students you have. But this particular group of students, we hold them accountable and say, hey, you guys want to go home for Thanksgiving? You know that now. Own up right now. And if you commit to something, You're responsible for it, and unless you can get someone to cover. And that's
Hmm.
when they can trade off. They can get, and again, you get that community feeling. You get the students to buy in. You've got to have that, in my view, or else it can't just be a job for everybody, because they've got to care. There's going to be that time when a coach says, "Oh, I decided we're going to practice 3 hours early today. Go,"
Hmm.
and you've got to call them and go, "Come on, get in here." So yeah, and like I said, I've got a great group of people in the office with me on the full-time basis who carry that same message to the students.
And that's why I like the friend program. Do you know anybody who can film? We have a job opening. Is like Campos said, the community feeling. And my guys come in. Oh, I was hanging out at Josh's house last night. I mean, they hang out with each other more than they hang out with me. And they know each other outside of the office, and that comes in. That's a really nice benefit when it comes in. Somebody's, well, hey, so and so can't make it, and but that guy who can't make it has covered for this guy before, so he's more likely to jump in the car, run over to practice, and help you film something on a short notice.
Do you find it's almost like a fraternity or a club or a team
Hmm.
within the football team, within the soccer team, within whatever? They've got the video team, and that's kind of, they do go out together and hang out together. I encourage that, but it always scares me because you have girls, and then the last thing you want is that office romance. But sometimes that happens too.
Hey, we got about 2 or 3 minutes left. Maybe 4 minutes left. I don't know if you guys have any tips or tricks or shortcuts or anything else you guys might want to hit on before we kind of wrap it up and call it a day on this deal. You guys are talking about lifts. We have permanent towers, and one thing we did do is we got I got in touch with our no, I'll get it. Uh, we got in touch with our emergency management people, and because basically it's a straight, our ladders are straight up and down, and it's a trap door, and if somebody collapses because of low glucose or whatever, they don't, we just can't get up there. There's not a way to get up to that spot, and so I contacted our emergency services people, talked to dispatch, and basically said, hey, what can we do about this? And what they said is we'll put a note that anytime that there is any kind of emergency called out to your practice field, a ladder truck will also be sent to your practice field.
Hmm.
So it's just one of those things. I know it's a little bit different with lifts because you guys have the emergency valves. It just, we don't, with the permanent towers, I guess that's one of the few drawbacks to the permanent towers, I guess.
We have lifts on one end, and we have our indoor facility on the other end that we just got this past year. And when they built it, I pitched a fit until they built me windows, so we could shoot out of the windows onto the field from that end. That way, if there's a high wind situation or a potential storm situation, lightning situation, we'll shoot out of that end in the end zone. And then if they decide, okay, we're going to go inside, there's a lightning strike within 15 miles, we're going to go inside, all that kid has to do is turn around. Now he's the sideline camera. So that's something that we've done. Other than that, trips and tips rather, we put a picture and directions to our shooting locations up on our Dragonfly post. There's maps. If you need help, you can certainly call us and let us know, but if you want to just get a visual of it or whatever, all that's posted on our Dragonfly. And then we reach out to the people the week when they're coming and say, hey, Tim's coming this week from Notre Dame. Hey, Tim, here's the information if you want it. So I think that's something that in our conference we've tried to kind of encourage, and it really helps because how many times you get to the stadium, you're like, where's the sideline spot? Nobody knows what that is,
Yep. Neil?
Not so much on the tips and tricks. I mean, I'm sure everybody drops cards, but we've gotten to the point now where I think Campo mentioned this earlier with the students. I have one guy who just is a runner. That's what he likes to do. I have one guy who is just an editor because he's scared to death of the scoreboard. But I've got a guy who loves the lift. He doesn't mind it at all, so he's on the lift every day. Just finding your students' comfort zones, what they like to do, so they're not griping and complaining the whole time, or starting to lose focus and miss a couple plays because they're not comfortable where they're at. And that's just you just kind of have to throw them out there and see if they like it at first. And usually they'll let you know within 10 minutes, I can't do this again.
Sure.
I had one kid tell me he went up in the lift and he said, well, I have asthma. When I go up in the lift, the air's too thin at 40 feet. So, I can't do this job.
Campo, I was interviewing a kid, and I said, "Are you afraid of heights?" He's like, "Oh, a little bit." I'm like, "Well, let's go outside. Let's go to our indoor, which is I go up one flight of stairs and about 20 feet, and we're in the indoor." I said, "Why don't you go ahead and climb this ladder? This is one of our filming positions. This is actually a little bit lower than what you'd be at outside." He got about 10 rungs up the ladder, came right down, and said, "I can't do this job."
I always ask everybody, what is your football IQ? Because especially in our level, you don't know if they're a former player. And my favorite one is about 8 years ago. The kid comes up and says, I say, okay, he's shooting the end zone. I say, just keep the quarterback in the center in the middle of the picture, and zoom out to get the line. Which one's the quarterback?
Oh boy!
And then 3 years later, he's still with me, and this is back in the VHS days, so I'm cutting the practice film, and I hear him singing the fight song in the background. So, just because they're kind of clueless at first, don't cut them loose. Give them, they may figure it out on their own pretty quick.
We've found that too. I mean, my niece worked for us, and I have a great picture of her during our Clemson game last year or a couple years ago. We won like on a last-minute kick, and she's playing Words with Friends on her phone as the game's winding down. Just couldn't care less. She loves the band, but there are things she does that, and now it's funny because now she scares her mother because she goes home and she says, "Hey Mom, it's an onside kick," and her mom will go, "How do you know it's an onside kick?" But they learn pretty fast, and as you said, I think there's a value in most kids who want to try and help can help you.
Yep. Well, guys, I hate to do this. I'm up against a hard window here, and since I'm the administrator, I'm in charge of stopping the broadcast. So I really appreciate you guys jumping on with me. We spent about 40 minutes here talking shop and whatnot. I think if anybody wants to, they can reach out to you guys. I know both of you guys are on Facebook. I found you guys both in the directory. So if anybody has any questions for either of these guys, for Neil or for Craig, go ahead and reach out. You can reach out to me. We're going to try to do this again in about another 3 or 4 weeks, and try to do 2 more kind of before bowl time comes around. And once bowl time comes around, I know everybody's running around. And Neil, you got playoff time and whatnot.
Hopefully.
So hopefully.
Yeah,
and
if it's not playoff time, it's basketball season already.
Yeah. And we'll just kind of keep rolling on this. I think this is a good thing for everybody, and these are all archived on YouTube and whatnot. So if anybody has any suggestions for any of the topics that we still need to cover, that we should cover, that we haven't covered, go ahead and email me or contact me and let me know. But hey, guys, I really appreciate your time, and we'll talk again with you soon.
No problem. Enjoyed it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.